All right, listeners, ready to dive into something a little different today. We're going to tackle,
Ooh.
but not just like the nuts and bolts of the language itself, more like why even bother?
Yeah. Right.
That's the point. So we've got the awesome review of Turkish Made Simple, A Beginner's Journey into the Turkish Language. It's by Ala'a Arrabi. Have you ever tried learning a new language? Like, what got you hooked?
Oh, yeah, I have actually. It was kind of by accident, to be honest. I was traveling and kept hitting this situations where I really needed to like talk to people, but I just couldn't. It was so frustrating. But I think those moments kind of sparked this desire in me to bridge that gap.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So this review we're looking at, it really digs into that whole why bother thing. It's not just about conjugations and stuff. It goes deep into the cultural stuff you unlock, like Ottoman architecture. Have you ever seen those buildings?
No.
They're incredible. And the poetry of Rumi.
Oh, Rumi's amazing. He was this 13th century Persian poet and scholar, but his work, it's like timeless. It crosses all these borders. His poems are about love, spirituality, self-discovery, and they're still so relevant today. It blows my mind to think that learning Turkish could help you understand his work on a whole other level.
For sure. It seems like Ala'a Arrabi really wants to make Turkish like accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
The review talks about how helpful Turkish is for travel, which makes sense given where Turkey is on the map.
Exactly. It's not just a place to go on vacation. It's this crossroads of geography and culture. Like, seriously, Turkey sits right between Europe and Asia, so it's been influenced by and has influenced both. Knowing Turkish could give you this whole unique perspective on such a complex region.
It goes even further than that.
Yeah.
The review even mentioned career opportunities.
Yeah, that's what's so cool. With Turkey's economy booming and its influence growing, knowing Turkish could be a huge advantage in so many fields, like international business diplomacy, even tourism.
Okay, so I know our listeners are all about self-improvement. And get this, the review actually talked about the cognitive benefits of learning Turkish. Apparently, the grammar is super unique, especially this thing called vowel harmony.
Oh, vowel harmony is wild. It basically determines which vowels can go together in a word. So you end up with this kind of flow. For example, if a word starts with a back vowel, like A or O, then the vowels that come after it will probably be similar too. It's like this linguistic puzzle your brain has to figure out which can actually make you more cognitively flexible.
That's so much more interesting than just saying Turkish grammar is hard.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the person behind this book, Ala'a Arrabi. The review mentioned that they've got a lot of experience teaching languages, which seems like a good sign. What do you think makes a language learning book really good, especially for beginners?
Well, it can't be some boring textbook, right? It has to have clear explanations, engaging examples, and focus on actual communication, the kind of stuff you'd actually use. It's a big plus if it throws in some cultural insights too, makes the language feel more real. This review makes it sound like Turkish Made Simple does a pretty good job of hitting all those points.
Totally. The review really emphasized that. It starts with the basics, the alphabet pronunciation, which is perfect for building confidence. Then it highlights that the book has all these everyday phrases, like how to order food, which is way more useful than just memorizing verb conjugations.
Yeah, for sure. Learning a language is all about connecting with people, and that starts with being able to have those everyday interactions. What really stood out to me was that the review said this book manages to simplify grammar, but still goes into some more intermediate stuff. It seems hard to do both of those things at the same time. Is it really possible to do that without totally overwhelming a beginner?
That's a really good question. I
Yeah.
mean, you want to give people a solid foundation, but also enough to keep them going. Sounds like Ala'a Arrabi really considered that.
Yeah.
Because the review emphasized how this book is all about real life skills.
That's huge. You can memorize grammar rules all day long, but fluency comes from actually using the language, making mistakes, learning from them, and building your confidence through real world practice. That's what really sticks.
And this part of the review is what got me so pumped. Is that Turkish Made Simple has all these cultural insights like idioms and proverbs. Not every language book does that.
It's like having the secret code to understand a whole culture. Idioms show what a society values or how they see the world in a way that you just can't get from a direct translation. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, there's this Turkish idiom, damlaya gol olur, which translates to drop by drop, a lake is formed.
Okay, now I'm curious. What's the deeper meaning behind that one?
Well, it's all about patience and never giving up. Even small, consistent efforts can lead to big results over time. It shows this mindset that values dedication in the long run, which I think is so interesting.
I love that. It's like getting a little peek into how people think. And speaking of making progress, the review said that this book is designed for gradual growth so you don't get overwhelmed. It sounds like Ala'a Arrabi really put a lot of thought into the learner's experience.
Having that kind of structured approach can be so helpful, especially for beginners. Language learning can feel like climbing a mountain, but if you break it down into smaller steps, the top doesn't seem so far away. And this book doesn't just focus on theory either. The review said it has conversation practice built right in.
That's like having a built-in language partner. And on top of all that, it's available on Kindle. Perfect for people who like to learn on the go. What do you think about Kindle versus physical books for learning a language?
To be honest, I think they both have their pros and cons. A physical book, you can easily flip through pages, highlight stuff, write notes in the margins. It's tactile and familiar.
True. There's just something so satisfying about holding a real book.
Exactly. But a Kindle is super convenient for traveling. You can change the text size, use the built-in dictionary, and carry like a ton of books with you.
So it really comes down to what you prefer and how you learn best.
I think so. The most important thing is to find what helps you connect with the material and makes learning fun. What stood out to you most from this review?
You know what I think? It's how much it focuses on making Turkish feel accessible.
Mm,
Ala'a Arrabi seems to really get the challenges of learning a new language and wrote this book to guide you through each step of the way.
definitely. It seems like they really thought about not just what you learn about Turkish, but why you'd want to learn it and how to actually do it. Those are the things that really keep you motivated.
Exactly. And don't forget, folks, we're talking about Turkish Made Simple, A Beginner's Journey into the Turkish Language by Ala'a Arrabi. It's on Amazon if you're ready to start your own Turkish adventure.
It's amazing how many resources like this are out there now. Anyone can start learning a language with a little help and enthusiasm.
Absolutely. So for anyone who's still on the fence about learning Turkish, what's one reason you'd give them to take the plunge?
I'd say it's the chance to open up this whole new world of cultural understanding. Learning Turkish isn't just about picking up vocabulary and grammar. It's about really appreciating Turkey's rich history, art, music, and the warmth of the people.
I love that. It's like opening a door to a whole new way of experiencing life.
Exactly. And who knows? You might even surprise yourself with how much you enjoy the challenge of mastering vowel harmony.
I'm ready to give it a shot. And you know, as we've been talking, I've been thinking about how learning a new language is kind of like building a bridge.
That's a great analogy. It takes effort planning and a real desire to connect two different points.
Right. And in this case, it's not just connecting languages. It's connecting cultures, perspective, ways of life.
That's the magic of language. It goes beyond just words and becomes this way for people to connect and understand each other.
And for our listeners who are feeling inspired, remember, Turkish Made Simple, A Beginner's Journey into the Turkish Language by Ala'a Arrabi is waiting for you on Amazon. You can grab a copy and start building that bridge today.
What I find so inspiring is how easy it is to learn a language these days. With resources like this book and all the online platforms out there, anyone can start this journey of discovery.
It really is like having a personal tutor right there in your pocket. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Turkish, what's one last piece of wisdom you'd leave our listeners with? Something to think about as they consider taking on the challenge of learning Turkish.
Don't underestimate the power of starting small. Even just a few minutes a day learning Turkish can lead to amazing progress. You might be surprised how quickly those small steps turn into big strides across your own personal bridge to understanding another culture.
That's a great way to put it. So to our listeners, teşekkür ederim for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've learned something new, felt inspired, and maybe even caught the language learning bug.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds wide open.
Right. It's like they've taken this big, challenging thing and made it feel doable and fun. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Turkish, what's one last thought you'd leave our listeners with? Something to get them excited to start learning.
I'd say don't underestimate the power of those baby steps. Even just a few minutes every day learning Turkish can make a bigger difference than you think. It's amazing how fast those little steps turn into big, confident strides across your own bridge to understanding another culture.
I love that analogy of a bridge. So to all our listeners out there, teşekkür ederim for being here with us on this deep dive. We hope you've learned something new, found some inspiration, and maybe even caught the language learning bug.
And remember, there's a whole world of incredible languages out there just waiting to be discovered. So until we meet again, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds open.
Yeah, it really is. And thinking about how Ala'a Arrabi put Turkish Made Simple together, it seems like they really made this whole bridge building thing a lot easier. You know, it's great to know there are resources like this out there to help people learn every step of the way.
Oh, for sure. What I think is so cool is how accessible it all is. With this book, you don't have to be some language expert or travel halfway across the world to start learning. You can literally start right now, wherever you are, with Ala'a Arrabi helping you out.
That's what's so exciting about it. It's like they took something that could be really intimidating and made it feel easy and even fun. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Turkish, what's one last thing you'd want to leave our listeners with? Something to inspire them to take that first step.
I'd say never underestimate the power of starting small, you know? Even if you only spend a few minutes a day learning Turkish, you can make some serious progress. You might be surprised how quickly those little steps turn into big leaps across your own bridge to a whole new culture.
Beautifully said. So to all our listeners out there, teşekkür ederim for joining us on this journey. We hope you've discovered something new about Turkish language and culture, and maybe even feel a little inspired to start your own learning adventure.
And remember, there's so many amazing languages out there just waiting to be explored. So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds wide open.